gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. Fire in the veins, I fight to gain, breaking all the rules to keep me sane. Living the moment till I die. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. No matter how hard we
And we're back. How's everybody doing? Welcome to a brand new episode of 4th and 10U. I got my boy Mike on the mic here. It's been a hot minute, sir, hasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Definitely has been a hot minute. Thank you for everybody's patience. You know, life gets in the way with work and, you know, vacations with the family and stuff. You know, plus for the off season, it's okay to be a little bit delayed, but a lot has happened. So we're going to take this episode and recap a lot of that. But before we get started, make sure you hit like, subscribe if you're new, turn on the notification bell, right? Join the chat. Say hi to everybody, introduce yourself, become part of the community, right? Do that for me first before we get started. We appreciate everybody who's watching right now. Mike, so how you been, man? How's everything?
Man, never better, bro. Just busy as can be at work, and you know, just being a dad. So it's been a minute, but you know me, I'm a sports junkie, so I still follow along as I can. But everything's going good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, same here. You know, family, kids, work, life. That's repeat, rinse and repeat every day. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah, I know. I had a Disney vacation with my kids. A lot of fun. My oldest came down from Atlanta. We went to Disney and, you know, got to ride the rides, and we went to Animal Kingdom, and that was a heck of a trip. It was definitely worth every penny. Even took my wife paid for this what do they call it? One of those premium restaurants that they have. And then all the characters from Disney come and say hi to your kids while we're eating dinner. And it was amazing.
Cool.
It was a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot of fun. I'll have to share pictures sometime. But yeah, a lot has happened in the sporting world. And it's now the beginning of March. I think today is March 5th, right? 305 day for my friends in Florida and in the Miami area. It's 305 day. You know what I'm talking about, Mike and the mic.
Yes, sir.
So definitely cool there. But to be honest, we got to ask ourselves a question. Does the cleat fit? And if you're new around here and you don't know what this is, every episode, I'm going to try to shout out to a different cause or charity, right? And we are not affiliated with any of them, just so you know. We do this out of the kindness of our heart, just to bring awareness. Maybe there's something with this charity that you can share with a person in need or a friend, family member. I definitely think it's good for the mind, body, and soul if we share these causes and even participate in some. Some people are looking for something to join or be a part of something massive, this might be for you. But today's today's cause that we're going to shout out is the Red Cross. If you didn't know, the Red Cross's mission is more than just words. According to the Red Cross, they state that we always aim to prevent and relieve suffering with every action. The Red Cross shelters, feels, and feeds and provides comfort to people affected by disaster. By disasters, supplies about 40% of the nation's blood, teaches skills that save lives, distributes international humanitarian aid, and supports veterans, military members, and their families. The Red Cross is not a government agency. The Red Cross is a registered 501c nonprofit organization that depends on volunteers and the generosity of the American public to deliver its mission. Their vision, just so you're aware, if you don't know, the American Red Cross, through its strong network of volunteers, donors, and partners, is always there in times of need. Red Cross supporters provide a beacon of hope, from helping during disasters and ensuring access to life-saving blood, to providing training to save lives and supporting military communities. The Red Cross is there when help can't wait, right? So if you want to know more about the Red Cross, go to redcross.org. Learn about more about them. You can see what their vision is, what their mission is. Learn about their principles, which are primarily humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, unity, and universality. Right? The Red Cross is a worldwide institution in which all societies have equal status and share equal responsibilities and duties in helping each other. Right? So definitely check them out. It doesn't matter if you want to donate, if you want to volunteer, learn about training and certification that they provide, or give blood. Definitely check out redcross.org. All right, there we go. That is our cause of the month. What do you think of that? What do you think of that, Mike?
Donate blood.
Definitely. If there's one thing you can donate, I understand money is tight for everybody. I'm one of them. I completely understand that. But the one thing you can donate is blood, right? Blood is something I know that they're in massive need around the world. If you're a universal donor, even better. You know, that's really good. My wife is one of those that has the blood that she can give blood to anybody. I want to say it's something negative. Negative. So definitely shout out to the Red Cross and all those volunteers as well. But I know that's not what you guys are here for. You're here for college football, so let's get into it. First up on the docket, coaching carousel, right? Coaching carousel has been rampant this season, off season. Everybody from, every team. The ACC has new coaches. SEC has new coaches. Ohio State has a whole bunch of new coaches, right? We're talking about Texas. They don't have a coaching staff at Texas. They have a head coaching staff, because that's really what it is. It's like the Avengers assembled, right? Except they're all head coaches. That's basically what's going on, I want to say, with Texas. But I actually have the rundown on coaching changes. This goes beyond January, but we're going to start from January just to catch everybody up. So Arizona State University went ahead and extended their contract with head coach Kenny Dillingham. That was kind of interesting. Washington hired Purdue's Ryan Walters as their new DC. That kind of surprised me. I didn't expect Ryan Walters. I thought maybe Washington would go with somewhere else there, to be honest. Clemson hired Penn State's Tom Allen as their new DC. As you may already know, Penn State went ahead and I want to say that they went ahead and flipped their DC at Ohio State. Jim Knowles went ahead and joined up with Penn State after being offered a contract to stay at Ohio State. He decided to go ahead and flip the switch anyways. That was very, very interesting. There's some, and we'll come back to that because I want to say there's a little bit of story to talk about when it comes to why Jim Knowles left Ohio State. And there's some, I don't want to say scandal, but there's some spiciness to it. So we'll come back to that. Here's a surprising hire from a familiar name. USC hires Rob Ryan. Yeah, that was Rex Ryan's brother. That kind of surprised me. He's the new assistant head coach over there at USC. I wonder how that's going to turn out. That's going to be really interesting. As far as I thought he was retired, to be honest. I didn't even know he was still around. So I'm actually surprised behind that. We already talked about Penn State hiring Jim Knowles as their new DC, making him one of the highest paid DCs in the nation. So that'll be, we'll definitely come back to that. What else did we have? Chris Ash is the new DC in Notre Dame. Other massive news for Ohio State. Chip Kelly left Columbus to join the Las Vegas Raiders. Shout out to Chip Kelly. He was actually signed a contract making him the highest paid offensive coordinator in the league. So I believe he was one of the highest paid already at Ohio State. Now he's the highest paid in the league in the NFL. That's really interesting. Alabama hired Ryan Grubb as their new OC. And then to fill in the Ohio State jobs, because there's a lot of Ohio State jobs that are now available, Ohio State promoted Brian Hartline as their new OC. If you don't know, Brian Hartline's been with that program for several years now, is touted as one of the top recruiters in the country. And a lot of people say that he's the favorite to become the next Ohio State coach or take a head coaching job at a prominent school. So keep an eye out for Brian Hartline in the near future. Here's a big one. And this comes back to my days when I was a kid watching football, especially the fastest show on turf, to be honest. Colorado hires Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk as their new running backs coach to join Deion Sanders. That's really, really interesting. Shout out to Deion and the program that they have there. Another big name, Ohio State hires Matt Patricia, the former Lions head coach and former offensive and defensive coordinator of the Patriots, right, as their new defensive coordinator. I think this is a massive hiring for Ohio State, and you could probably say I'm wrong, maybe Mike, but I think it's massive. Let's talk about that real quick. Matt Patricia is a former head coach, coached for one of the best programs in the pro system, right? So already he has a leg up. He can tell, prospects and players that he has, what to expect going into the NFL. He can make sure that they're pro ready too, right? That's something that could entice them to come. So the recruiting aspect of, hey, you want to learn how to become a pro and play at a level that you saw as during the Patriots run. That would be me as a player. I'm like, oh, Matt Patricia and Bill Belichick, they had one of the best defenses. I want to go there, right? Speaking, I almost forgot. Let's not forget Bill Belichick is the new North Carolina head coach. That's part of that coaching carousel. So shout out to Bill Belichick. But I think in that aspect, it's going to be very interesting. Everyone kind of like laughed at, I have people on my Twitter laughing. Oh, you got Matt Patricia. What are you going to do now? Because they hate him in Michigan, right? Because of the Lions or whatever. I actually think it's a great hire. It's a home run hire. I think let's not forget, this was the guy that everybody was calling a defensive genius while he was with the Patriots, right? And though it didn't necessarily work out as an offensive coordinator, but he's not an offensive coordinator really. That's something Bill Belichick was trying to try out to see if it could work. And it didn't necessarily work, but that also could be because they didn't really have the personnel of the offense that they wanted to run in the first place. But at a defensive scheme, I think this is going to be really good. In more recent news, Coach Ryan has said that he wants them to run the defense that will fit best of what they have. So essentially, work with the strengths of what they have as a personnel, and that's the defense that they're going to run. So it'll be very interesting. What do you think of the hire?
I mean, I honestly think he's 2 years back in the NFL, but that's just my take. Are you talking about Belichick or Patricia?
Patricia.
I mean, I think it was a given. He was going to bring somebody that he knew and he coached to get there to help implement his system for sure. And Matt Patricia, as far as defense, I don't think anybody knew the defense better as far as what he wants to run, and he has the old school mentality, tough nose, hard nose, whatever you want to call it. He's going to expect a lot from his players, and so I think it's a natural fit with Belichick. I don't think Patricia would do well without him. He's already shown he's not the greatest coach, but with Belichick guiding him, I think he can be pretty good there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, what do you mean with Belichick guiding him?
Oh, wait a second, dude. I'm behind. Sorry about that, dude.
So Bill Belichick is the new head coach of the University of
North Carolina.
Matt
Yes.
Patricia is the defensive coordinator for Ohio State.
Yes. Sorry. I'm don't mind me. But Matt Patricia at Ohio State. I don't know, man. It's hard. It's big shoes to fill with Jim Knowles leaving the way he did. But Matt Patricia, um, I mean, like I said, I don't know. He wasn't a great coach on his own, but maybe under Ryan Day, he can be pretty good. Uh, Dude, I totally spaced on that one. I definitely thought Matt Patricia went to North Carolina. I ain't been paying attention that much, I guess. But I'm good for it's good for Ohio State to get an NFL caliber guy in there, like you mentioned about recruiting and things like that. But get him NFL ready. They got if anything got really weak on their team after the season is the defense. So he can bring some experience and some he just brings the wherewithal to know what's needed and how to coach the guys up the right way. As long as he's not a head coach, he might be pretty good. But we saw as a head coach, he's not that great. So I think it's a good fit.
Definitely. I think it's a good fit as well. I mean, like you said, I think in the aspect of if I'm a player and I want to, put myself in a position to get drafted and understand the pro game, I think Matt Patricia would be a good guy that they could lean on and say, hey, what can we expect? And, get them ready to be able to play some of those other defensive schemes. Let's not forget some of the best scheme artists when it comes to the NFL defense came from Matt Patricia and that program that they had at New England. So in that aspect and scheming with what you have, which is exactly what they did in as a Patriot, I think it'll be great for Ohio State, to be honest. And Ohio
And
State.
all the haters,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say all the haters out there, you can go ahead and get on me for that Matt Patricia to North Carolina take because that was totally a goof on my end.
It's all right. We make mistakes here. Remember, we said it last episode. We're not the experts. It's all good though. It's all good. It's all fun. So I think that's going to be a massive hire. Going back to Brian Hartline, I think that definitely makes sense. Brian Hartline had one season with the OC and it was kind of atrocious, to be honest. But he didn't really have anybody there that he could have like learned from and was mentored by or anything like that. Chip Kelly was the smart move when we brought him. It was a head coach that could teach the next guy over all that he knew and had to offer, right? And I'm sure, Brian Hartline absorbed all the information and, now he has at disposal some of the best receiver, JJ Smith, the best receiver in college football, among other really good receivers. And that brings up the next topic.
Hang on.
Good.
I think one of the most underrated coaching hires of the offseason was Dwayne Aquina back to Texas. So when he was at Texas before he left, he was there from 2001 to 2013. He had 15 defensive backs get selected in the NFL draft. He had Quentin Jammer, Rod Babers, Nathan Vasher, Michael Huff, Cedric Griffin, Michael Griffin, Aaron Ross, Terrell Brown, Earl Thomas, Aaron Williams, Curtis Brown, Chicky Brown, Kenny Vaccaro, Mikael Thompson, and Quandre Diggs. He comes back to a loaded defensive back class at Texas. And I think I'll say right now, call it a bold prediction, call it a homer prediction, whatever. But I think Texas's secondary is about to be absolutely nasty next year. They had hired Terry Joseph, but he ended up leaving, so they got Dwayne Akina back. And I'm telling you, I think that's one of the most underrated coaching hires in the offseason so far is bringing him back to where he made a name for himself. And I'm telling you, watch what happens with these defensive backs that we got. Jade Barron left, but Michael Taft came back. Makuba left, but what's about to happen with Texas's passing defense is about to be pretty impressive. Mark my words.
Gotcha. I want to talk about drafts so bad with you because I some of the players you mentioned, well, that's another episode coming soon, I promise. But there's some stuff I want to like tell you about in regards to the draft, but we'll talk about it later. That's interesting about what you said. What was it? Quandre Diggs you mentioned as one of those corners. Yeah, that's really interesting. I love the amount of lists. I mean, Texas put out some good corners. They got a lot of good, corners. They have a secondary this year. When it comes to what's coming in the NFL draft. Yeah, there's a lot of talent both Texas and Ohio State has in this draft. I think this could be where in my opinion, I kind of feel like both Texas and Ohio State are going to be 1 and 2 with the most drafted out of our schools, to be honest. I think that's where it's going to look like, at least. All right. Going into my next thing, though, real quick. Are you committed? Right? National Signing Day was this past month. So I want to talk about that real quick. And I'll finish where I was going with Brian Hartline. Brian Hartline just became the offensive coordinator. Now, they have a co-offensive coordinator and they have a co-defensive coordinator at Ohio State. But really, I consider those positions like assistant head coach or assistant defense or offensive coordinator. That's how I think they treat them. It's not like they've done in other places where they have 2 offensive coordinators and depending on the game, they have that person call the game. That's not how it works, right? That never works that way. I really think they just have them as a like an assistant. If you're not available or you're sick or out, he's the guy that's going to come in to work for you or whatever. But that neither here nor there. Say, what I want to get to is the fact that Ohio State again had a great recruiting year this year, and Texas did absolutely knocked it out of the park. They were number 1 in the recruiting rankings. You guys had 5 5-star players. Did exactly what I thought you would do. What? Go ahead.
14 4-star players too.
Yeah, we had 4 5-star players and 19 4-star players is what we had. Quincy Jones is a name that I want to put out there for people to remember. Ohio State has arguably the best wide receiver in all of college football. And they got this guy, and we're talking about a guy that people say could be drafted number 1 had he been in this year's draft, right? They say that. Quincy Jones, and let me make sure I have the name correct because I don't want to mishap on that real quick.
Right, I already said Matt Patricia was at North Carolina. You can't get worse than that mistake.
It's all good, bro. It's all good. Where did I put it? Did I lose it? Darn me.
Disclaimer.
Oh, here it is. Disclaimer. Here it is. I found it. Sorry about that. Let me go to the recruiting rankings real quick, and I'll find exactly what I was looking for. This one.
Real quick, while you're looking that up, I'm really excited about two of the 5 stars that we got, Jamie French and Jonah Williams. One is Jonah Williams is a top-rated safety. I think with Makuba leaving, that's a huge get. And then Jamie French, he's 6'1", 185. He's Florida's number 5 prospect, number 7 rated receiver nationally, and I think he's going to have an immediate impact too. I mean, they got other ones too, but I really love French and I really love Williams.
Definitely, 100%. Okay, thank God I checked because I almost messed that up. It's not Quincy Jones, it's Quincy Porter, is what his name is. He's a 6'3" wide receiver, 5-star, 98 rating according to 247 Sports. Definitely, or 24/7 Sports. I'm sorry. Definitely, you need to watch the tape on this kid. It seems like every year they're getting the best receiver in the nation every year, right? It is very, very interesting what they do at Ohio State, and they're just getting the top of the top talent. But there was some surprises when it comes to the National Signing Day and what happened, right? Big commitment in Maryland, which I'm very upset because I was hoping he would come to Ohio State. Zahir Mathis picked the Terps over Florida State and other teams, right? And he was one of the best edges that were coming into college football. Michigan also, and I hate to talk about them, but it's all good. Michigan also had a big time commit, Haywood, the offensive lineman. He went ahead and he uncommitted and then recommitted to Michigan. And then let's see what else happened. I believe North Carolina also got some defensive players. They got a pair of defensive prospects, I believe. Tell me more about Texas. What happened in Texas in regards to your commitments? Was there any names that stood out or anybody that you thought was very impressive? Any names you want to shout out to?
I mean, other than French, and I mean, I really like French. He wasn't the top wide receiver we got, but we got a guy named Lockett too. But I think what I don't know. Steve Sarkisian has been really good lately of filling the holes that the draft takes, and so getting 2 wide receivers. We got Brandon Baker, an offensive lineman. I'm really excited about the direction because it's a next man up mentality. But as far as I'd have to say French is probably what I'm most excited about because I just think he provides a dynamic to the team that with Sarkisian's offense, he's going to be great. Speed, good hands. I think I just think he's going to be a guy that you'll know right off the bat because we're hurting at wide receiver now. We lost Isaiah Bond, we lost Matthew Golden. Got a few guys coming back. I love Wingo, but for me, French is the guy that I'm really excited about. And there could be other guys that that stand out to some people, but for me, I don't know. I'm really excited about that because with Arch Manning coming in, if you give a guy a surplus of weapons, I just think he's going to succeed even better. And I mean, on off topic, but he has been, by all rumors, and by all accounts, he's been absolutely putting in a ton of work in the off season, and people are just glowing about the progress he's made and his work ethic and all that good stuff. But Jonah Williams at safety, I think he was an athlete, but they're going to go ahead and play him at safety. He's going to be really fun to watch. I got a guy close to home out of Dallas Skyline, Elijah Barnes at linebacker. Think he's going to be pretty good. But if I had to pick one name, I'm going with French. I think that's a guy that everybody should look out for.
All right. Yeah, at Ohio State, we'll talk about some of the other notable teams as well, but I'm just going to give you a rundown of what we got over here. Ohio State, we have, several players I really like, but let's actually go down the list just a little bit, and I'll give you 4 names specifically. Number 1, we got a guy named Julian Sand that's a 5-star recruit from last year. he's gonna, come in and take over for Will Howard as the QB. But there's a guy that we brought in this year. He's already signed, already enrolled at Ohio State. He was standing at the sidelines during the whole playoff run. Check out a guy named Tavian St. Clair, right? Go watch the tape on him. In my opinion, he is a star in the making. The guy is fast, elusive, has great pocket presence, can throw the ball. He already was already elected into, I want to say it was called the High School Football Hall of Fame or something to that effect. They're already handing awards out to this guy. Go check him out. I'm telling you, Julian Sand might be here now, but the future is Tavian St. Clair. Remember that name. Another guy, this guy, in my opinion, is the next shutdown corner, right? He's the next Sauce Gardner, if you're a Sauce Gardner type of fan, or a Revis, if you want to call it. Devin Sanchez. That's the guy you really want to keep an eye out for. Definitely check him out. And, those are some names that I want to give you. Among others, they have over there, Devin Sanchez is really good. They also have another guy named Quincy Porter, which I told you, one of the best. I'm sorry, my dog's in here screaming. One of the best wide receivers. You even look at a guy named Riley Pettyjohn. He's a linebacker out of McKinney, Texas, near where you're at. That guy looks really good on video. We got Turbo Rogers and a Bo Jackson. Yes, another couple of running backs that we have coming in to take over for Trevion and Keyshawn Judkins. The whole roster is loaded with talent this year. It's going to be very interesting, in what they do and how well they perform in comparison to this past year. But I just wanted to throw it out to the Buckeyes. But yeah, there's other teams that did very well in this, in the National Signing Day. I don't want to discredit all the commitments that went to Georgia. Alabama had a good offseason. Oregon's there. Michigan was, recruiting as normal. Low key, and the reason I'm saying low key, Florida Gators might be making a run next year, especially in the SEC. They flipped some commitments. They brought in talent that I was surprised they were able to get. And that's my hot team for the SEC this coming up season. So I know Texas is going to be up there at number one, but Florida Gators could give you a run for your money, to be honest.
Look out for Lagway, man. I really like Lagway. I really think he can. He's gonna end up being a late. I don't know. He may be, give him 4 or 5 weeks. I think he'll be in the Heisman running. I loved what I saw from him last year. It's my dad's team, so I watched Florida a lot. When he got hurt, he didn't play against Texas. I think if he had played, it would have been a much better game. But look out for Lagway. I think he's got the mentality and the skill set, and he's got the maturity needed to be really good in the SEC. And they got something rolling. If you look at their last 6 or 7 games last year, Florida really took off, and their defense played really well. So I agree with you. Florida could be the up and comer next year.
Yeah, they kind of surprised me in the beginning of the season. I was, joking with friends of ours that are Gator fans that I felt like their coach was a call away from being, getting his Greyhound ticket out of town. You know what I mean? And then he turns it around, great performances. And it just surprised me. That's my hot team for for the Gators. They had a really good recruiting season this season, top 10 for sure. And I think that it's going to follow through into the next season as well. That's something that I think that we're going to start to see at some point. I think we're going to see a lot more balanced recruiting among all the teams and stuff because of NILs and stuff like that. You're going to see, like I told you, Zaire Mathis, I believe his name was, the defensive end that went to Maryland. You could have went to Ohio State. You could have went to Michigan. You could have went to Oregon. You could have went to any of these schools, and you picked Maryland. Really? Didn't expect it. It is what it is, but I know we were looking for an edge player, so I don't know why we didn't throw the money down, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know. It'll be very interesting to find out. Any last thoughts about National Signing Day? Anything noteworthy to talk about there?
Honestly, I mean, for me, there wasn't any big surprises. I thought it was a pretty mundane National Signing Day, but I mean, there were some guys that I guess you could say surprised you. You know, the guy going to Maryland and everything. But I just I thought it was a good. I thought it showed the cream of the crop was at the top, for
Mhm.
sure, with Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, the teams you expect to be there. But a guy like a team like Maryland getting such a highly touted recruit, I think it does show that there's some parity, and maybe the NIL's working, because I think you're seeing a more of a balance across the board as far as overall talent, not 5 stars, 5 star, 4 star. That's just a ranking, but you never know what they're going to do till they get on the field. So once they get to campus, you'll see what happens. But um, yeah, man, it's top heavy as always. But as far as the parity throughout the top 10, top 15, I don't know. I'm excited. College football looks like it's in a good place. You got a lot of talent going to different teams that you don't usually see 5 star and the top recruits going to. So it'll be pretty fun.
Yeah, and the one thing I don't think we're gonna see so much of where the last day you're going to see teams flip a person at the
Yep.
last minute
Yep.
like you've seen in the past. I used to remember waking up early on National Signing Day and watching my on Twitter feed or whatever I could find to find out if we signed a player and whatnot and let the updates come in. I remember watching that, and like at the last minute you find out, oh, what you call it, college team went ahead and got him signed before we did, and you'd be all upset and everything. I don't think you're going to see a lot of that. You might see where a player doesn't sign on National Signing Day, and it just takes a longer recruiting process before they hone in on their team and they sign. I think you're going to see a
Oh,
little bit more of that.
it's all about this now, man. And so like whatever, you could get your favorite team and they don't want to offer you the extra 2 million that another team's offering, and with family and friends hounding on you, I think you're just gonna go where the money is, to be honest. And that's where but I also think it's cool for some of the other teams to fork out the money for the top players, because
Mhm.
if there's a good side to the NIL, it's that if you're willing to pay, you're gonna get the top talent. And um there's the downsides to it too, but I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And the other part of it is also is like, um, it feels like players are maybe in the first 2 seasons, they're going in this aspect. I want to take the money, and the transfer portal is getting more exciting than even recruiting and National Signing Day. That's where players like, okay, now I want my championship, right? And that's why I find it more fascinating what the big teams are doing, what Ohio State does, what Michigan or Texas or Oregon or some of these other big name Alabama's, what they do during the transfer portal really tells me, you know, that's a lot more exciting finding out who they're transferring over, and the gems they find there. Um,
Agreed.
yeah. So, any last thoughts on that before we move on to the next? None. All right. So the last topic for today's episode, uh, new NFL hunting grounds. Let's actually talk about that for a minute. So you're probably wondering, what is he talking about? NFL?
No,
We're supposed to
I'm not. I'm not wondering.
bullshit?
I'm not wondering nothing. You got such a big ass smile on your face. This is all about the Big Ten. I ain't stupid.
Oh, it ain't about the Big Ten. Not at all. Not at
Oh,
all.
okay, okay,
I threw
okay.
you a curveball. That's why I'm smiling. Uh, The University of Toledo can be considered the new NFL's hunting grounds. The University of Toledo has long been a respected football program in the Mid American Conference, but in recent years, it's emerged as a premier pipeline for the NFL talent. Once overlooked in favor of the Power Five schools, the Rockets are proving that elite football players can come from anywhere, and NFL scouts have taken notice. Hence, why we were talking about committing and National Signing Day and how it seems to be a little bit more balanced. This goes in along with that. Rising NFL factory. Traditionally, schools like Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, maybe Oregon or Texas, they usually dominate the conversation when it comes to producing NFL talent. However, the University of Toledo has been quietly establishing itself as a legitimate breeding ground for professional athletes. Over the past decade, a steady stream of former Rockets have made impacts at the next level, earning roster spots, starting roles, and even Pro Bowl selections. Names like Kareem Hunt, Deontay Johnson, Logan Woodside exemplify the success that Toledo alumni have had in
They,
the
they,
NFL. Go ahead. Did you have something to say?
they, yeah, they had a Super Bowl champion this year too,
They did. Thank you for noticing.
Quinion Mitchell. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So that being said, where was I in this article I was writing? So Hunt, for example, explosive running back, made an immediate impact in his rookie season. I want to say he led the league in rushing that year, right? Unbelievable. The guy, I think he was a fantasy football come true for me because I drafted him, right? And the guy was running over everybody, right? You look at guys like that, right? You look at guys like I want to say Deontay Johnson, a dynamic wide receiver, for Pittsburgh Steelers, was drafted in 2019. Even prior to 2019 in the draft that Kareem Hunt was in and whatnot, guys like Chester Taylor, if you know who Chester Taylor is, he used to play for the Vikings and played for the Bears. I went to school with that guy. That guy was a running back when I was a freshman in college at University of Toledo, and guy was amazing. Wide receiver like Carl Ford, he was a big time receiver for in college, and then eventually went to Green Bay. And there's been many other players along the way. I think there was a receiver for the Saints that was really good. Also, that played for Toledo. But ultimately, not just Toledo, the MAC, the Mid American Conference itself, has started to develop some of the best. I mean, you go back and look in years past, right? A famous defensive end / linebacker that you and I were big fans of, Jason Taylor. He went to Akron, right? That guy's a Hall of Famer, went to Akron. You look at, we'll look at other players, not just the ones that we mentioned, but you look at other players like Michael Turner, the running back for the Atlanta Falcons. He went to Northern Illinois. Greg Jennings, that's a massive one. Wide receiver went to
Green Bay.
Michigan, right? This is all coming out of the MAC. Let's see. There's this is a kind of a big one, and he played back in the day. I don't know how far back you go, but back in the 70s, there was a linebacker named Phil Villapiano. I don't know if you remember that name. Played for the Raiders. That guy went to Bowling Green University. That was like 5 minutes from my house, right? These are just some of the names. Oh, this is a big one, and this is a bone-crushing one if you remember. James Harrison. James Harrison didn't go to Alabama. He didn't go to Ohio State. He went to Kent State, of all teams, right? You look at Antonio Gates. He also went to Kent State. Ben Roethlisberger, quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, went to Miami of Ohio. The University of Toledo and the MAC have quietly started to become a breeding grounds for the NFL. And in this year, there are two guys that I really think are going to be picked on either on day one or day two. One of them is the defensive tackle out of Toledo, Darius Alexander. He's a 6'4" kind of guy. This says he ran a 4.95. I think it was a little bit less than that. 40-yard dash. Has about an 83.2 rating. I think he's definitely gonna be a second day pick, high second day pick, to be honest. And another guy is the tight end out of Bowling Green University, Harold Fannin Jr. 6'3", ran a 4.71, right? Average, he has an average rating of about 85.6. Guy had put up some numbers. Definitely a project, but can provide an immediate impact as a receiver in the next level. So definitely very interesting to find the gems that came out of the MAC. What do you think about that and the fact that teams like Toledo and Bowling Green and these other teams are putting out NFL talent? What do you think of that?
I mean, if you go down, DeMarcus Ware, You mentioned Ben Roethlisberger, Greg Jennings, Deontay Johnson. You just go down the list, Kareem Hunt, like these guys that are coming from the non-Power Five conferences, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a testament to the NFL's scouting department, and I think you may be right. I mean, I don't know. It's funny to see some of these guys that didn't make it. They weren't highly recruited, so they didn't go to the big schools. But you get to see them be successful in the NFL. It just shows you that if you work hard and you hone your craft and you become a guy that people want to notice. I think it's pretty great, and I think it's kind of neat too to see some of them go later in the draft and still have extremely productive NFL careers. I mean, Ben
Mhm.
Roethlisberger's him and DeMarcus Ware. I mean, they're both going to be Hall of Famers. I don't know if I think I saw Chuck Ealy. That's another guy I remember. Bruce Gradkowski. He was a backup quarterback for a while.
He was, you
But
know what
yeah,
school
I
he
mean,
went to,
it's
right? You know what school he went to, right?
no
University of
Miami of
Toledo.
Ohio. That's all I can think.
Bruce Gakowski went to University of Toledo. He was a kid
No, well,
from
there you go.
Pittsburgh.
So
He was a kid from Pittsburgh, and then eventually went and started for the Steelers for a hot minute. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I mean, I think it's like it's just a testament to like work really hard at your craft, like become really really good regardless of what
Mhm.
school you're at, and you get a chance, and all you need is a chance, and if you do get your chance, make your name. Go out there and prove your worth, and it's pretty cool to that. I think it's an interesting perspective you have on a new NFL hunting grounds, because I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on, because those are the guys that work the hardest. They're not at the big schools,
Mhm.
so they're playing for school pride and a chance to be noticed. And so I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And here's a name that Saints fans would remember, but he played for University of Toledo and he played for the Saints for several years. Uh, Lance Moore, wide receiver. That's another name that I almost forgot. But what's even, you mentioned what's his name, Keyshawn Mitchell, or Keyshawn Mitchell, the corner for the Eagles that played in the Super Bowl, right? You mentioned him earlier. I want to say that there was like 5 or 6 players in the MAC from the MAC that was in the Super Bowl. He was just more popular one because he played for the Eagles and a big time position. But I want to say there was like 2 or 3 offensive linemen and maybe a linebacker that was also from the MAC in the Super Bowl. So that's very interesting. Um, I kind of I'm from Toledo, so for me it's kind of like a big deal when you see players from small schools, make it to the big leagues. So I always like to shout them out, and I thought it was a good subject, especially since we got the draft coming up, which we can talk more about in another episode. But that's all I got for you folks today. So it's a great episode. We're back, baby. We're going to be putting out more episodes. So keep an eye out. We're going to be a little bit more consistent this time and planned. Sorry if we've been kind of busy with life, but that's what it is. Mike, you got any final thoughts before we shut this thing down?
No, man, good show. Um, I thought, I like your topics as always. It's always fun chit chatting with you on here, and to all the people out there that are watching, I appreciate you, and look forward to doing some more episodes in the future. But overall, I enjoyed it.
Definitely. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I always enjoy hanging out with you and talking college football. But please do me and Mike a favor. Please, right? Hit like, subscribe, turn on notification bell. And one thing, make sure you go on Twitter, look up at 4th and 10U, and follow us on Twitter. We'd really appreciate it. We're trying to, we're trying to grow our community and actually extend to people that may not know about our show. And come on over, join the conversation on in Twitter or even on here in the chat. And let's talk some college football. I love hearing what you guys have to say and what you think of the topics we talk about. So thank you all very much. And with that, you all have a wonderful day.